If you're selling a home in the Charleston area, you might want to know about the Zillow Tax. So, what is the Zillow Tax? Well, that's the dummy tax, I like to call it, that people who hire an agent or who somehow get their home on Zillow without understanding what Zillow really is, a middleman kind of market maker. Well, that's the tax you would pay in reduced equity when your home sells. Now, what do I mean by this? Our parent company, Compass, which owns many of the great brands in real estate, including Christie's International Real Estate, has done a survey of 300,000 homes that sold and determined that because of the so-called Zillow tax, which I fully agree with, I've thought this for years, the Zillow tax costs those sellers between 1.5% and 2% on the sale of their home. So how does this happen? Well, Zillow is not what it appears to be. Zillow is what I would call, if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, why do prescription drugs cost so much? Because it's not that Eli Lilly and Pfizer and the manufacturers and research vehicles and pharmaceutical companies of these drugs, it's not that they charge so much. It's that there's a middleman in between the pharmacy where you receive the drugs and the actual manufacturer of the drugs that provides virtually no value at all to the American patient of pharmaceutical prescriptions and doubles, triples, and quadruples the cost of this medicine. Like the difference between what you might get with a good RX card at this pharmacy and this other discount card at the other pharmacy, I know there's some eardrops that I take that can range from $30 to $300 for the exact same product. And so the middlemen in every market, in that case pharmaceutical, and in our case Zillow, is the problem. Because on Zillow, you don't get to control how it's displayed, where the data is. One of the biggest problems in Zillow, and I think this is actually, it's virtually evil, is that when someone sees your home that's marketed by the average real estate agent and they go to ask a question about that home, Zillow sells that person's data. They have disclosures and all that. Yeah, right. Unwittingly, the person gives Zillow permission to sell that data to someone who has no idea, never set foot in the house, anything about your home. And this is what was taken away from the average listing agent 10 or 15 years ago in my view and in my opinion, a collusion between the boards of realtors, the evil multiple listing services, including the one in Charleston, and Zillow. This is evil what's going on in our business and what it does to home ownership and the process of purchasing a home. If a listing agent sits in your home and takes your listing, and you expect them to be the person interacting and responding to the market, what the real estate business has done in the last decade is completely upend that entire process. Real estate agents have teams. They have people for that. I'm too good to answer the phone. I'm going to let you talk to my assistant about that. I have a whole team that does my leads. I don't want to talk to inquiries about my listing. This is the general big team in the real estate business. I fly in the face of all that. I want to talk to every person I possibly can who calls or inquires in any way about something that I have listed where I have personally met the seller and taking the listing, which is every listing I take. I want to be the person because I know the house, I know the seller. I'm the one that sat with it for hours to get it onto the market and to prepare it and to launch the campaign. I am the only person for that particular house and that particular listing and that particular seller who should be answering questions in the market. Not some big team who's too big for its britches, not Zillow, not whoever Zillow freaking decides. It's atrocious. It's evil, in my opinion, what these companies are doing. And that's why there's a Zillow tax. So when you hire an agent, you're not just hiring an agent to put your home on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and every other website through the internet data exchange. You're hiring someone who knows how to get the leads off that listing, to be the interface and the responsive party when someone inquires about the listing, who knows how to get the listing elevated in AI. And what we found at the Compass companies, and I'm not part of this research, I'm just reading it, and I believe it because I've sold thousands of houses and I've been fighting with Zillow since the beginning of my career. I was the first agent in Mount Pleasant to get Zillow leads when they launched. I paid money. I got 40 or 50 leads a day. And then they started fragmenting that out. And eventually I realized Zillow leads are nothing more than garbage. They're simple home inquiries on other people's listings. And I want inquiries on my listings because I want to sell my listings, not other people's listings. You're in an industry, especially with Zillow and most big real estate companies and teams, where they're interested in taking listings to get buyer leads and sell buyers houses. That's never been my business model. I kind of think it atrocious. And so when you go to sell your house, avoid the Zillow tax. Find an agent like myself. There's a few of us out there. I'll help you. Somebody can help you. Interview on this. What do you do differently to make sure Zillow doesn't suppress my listing and devalue my home? The Zillow Zestimate is another big factor. The Zillow Zestimate is one of the most misleading. It really should be illegal because we're told we're not allowed to quote prices. And I don't think algorithmic pricing really is important. When people can go on and Google their house and get a number, or when a buyer can go on and Google a house and get some arbitrary computer generated number that's not by a licensed, sanctioned professional, that really shouldn't be legal. And it's been allowed for a very long time. It should be a qualified real estate agent or appraiser, someone with a license, the only people capable of quoting that number. And because of the Zillow Zestimate, when you list your house with me, I have to do a certain number of things within the frame of Zillow and the internet marketing as a whole, and AI optimization through how we write about your property to make sure that you get deemed the most value to match what we're asking. What we're seeing a lot right now is that we have listings on the market by other companies and teams, and these sellers occasionally will call me when their homes expire from the multiple listing service, and the home was on the market for $1.1 million, and the Zestimate's $980,000. That's automatically damaging. It's like putting a sign on a car at a car lot that says $49,995, retail value $39,995. Well, who's going to buy that car? So the Zillow tax, the dummy tax, the apathy tax, and the apathy's by real estate agents that haven't learned how to use the internet in a way to make your home look as valuable as it is. I'm not talking about misleading here. I'm talking about making it look as valuable as it is so that we can overcome these big, mean, evil technology middlemen who drive down the price of your home and drive up the cost of real estate business in general and commissions and everything, because they take control of the process and take it away from the people, you and me, that should be directly engaged. So keep in mind, Zillow's not your friend. It's trying to extract profit from the process of the sellers and the buyers and the agents and their commissions working together. If not for Zillow, the cost of selling a house to you would be 30% cheaper. And I put that squarely on the board of realtors for allowing these sorts of companies to come in and pretend to be real estate agencies and get control of all the listings. And they virtually drive down and really drive down prices. And they drive up expenses because of, some of these agents in our market are paying Zillow $40,000 and $50,000 a month to try to control the leads. And then they're paying 35 and 40% referral fees. So a lot of the commission you may be paying as a buyer or seller, you may not even know this, is going to Zillow. They make $2 billion plus a year on that model I just described. So yeah, it's real. No matter how you shape it, you call it my opinion, but it's backed by data. There's a Zillow tax, and we are all paying it.